Self-sufficient gardening is all about developing the skills and putting practices into place that will help your garden be less reliant on outside sources, and outside influences have less of an effect on the outcome of your garden. And in today's video, I'm going to share 10 practices that will help you have a more self-sufficient garden. The more of these 10 principles that you're able to implement in your garden, the more self-reliant your garden will become. But if we haven't met before, my name's Angela from Growing in the Garden, and I love to share garden inspiration and helpful tips so you can be successful in your own garden. Number 1, learn how to save seeds. Saving seeds from your garden is a simple way to have your garden be more self-reliant. Take a minute to learn how, and if it's possible, to save the seeds from whatever you're growing in your garden. Learn the best time to harvest for seeds and store them properly. Properly saved seeds will store for years, and even better, seeds that you save from crops that grow well in your garden are adapted to your garden's unique growing conditions. I go into detail in a blog post and video about the specifics of saving seeds, but the bottom line is it's not complicated. You can do it. The second tip is to plan ahead and plant your own seed crops. We talked about saving seeds, but this is a little bit different. For example, when you grow garlic, grow enough for your family, but then also grow a little bit extra for you to plant the next year, and then you will become self-sufficient in garlic. There are many crops that if you save bulbs or learn how they propagate, you can grow enough to consume and set aside some to replant the following season. Examples of crops that you can grow your own seed for are garlic, potatoes, beans, and sweet potatoes. Number 3, learn how to start crops from seed. This is a valuable skill whether you're planting them outside in the garden or inside to plant out later on. If you're growing seeds indoors, there is an initial outlay of expense, but that time and expense will be well paid over and over in the number of transplants you don't have to purchase from the garden center. Although prices have gone up, a package of seeds is still relatively inexpensive, and from that one package of seeds you can get dozens and dozens of transplants. On the other hand, a 6-pack of vegetable transplants usually costs more than one package of seeds. And the prices for transplants have gone up considerably. Learning to start from seed can be tricky. There are a couple of factors that you really do have to get right. Once you learn how to start seeds successfully and get really comfortable with that, it really opens up a lot of options for what to plant in your garden. Number 4, learn about the edible perennials that grow well in your area. Adding perennials to your garden is an easy way to become more self-sufficient in your garden. You plant it once, and often you get many, many years of harvest out of that one plant. Perennial crops come back season after season. Good example of perennial crops to consider adding to your garden are asparagus, strawberries, artichokes, rhubarb, perennial kale, Jerusalem artichoke, Ichoy onions, longevity spinach, peppers, and more. Number 5, plant fruit trees. Learn about which types of fruit trees grow well in your climate and your growing zone and add them to your garden. Learn how many chill hours your area receives and pick fruit trees that require that number or less. For example, where I live here in Arizona, citrus grows really well. It is very simple to grow citrus here. Citrus is readily available. There are also several varieties of peaches, figs, and pomegranates that grow really well as well. Fruit trees not only provide an abundance of fruit, but many are deciduous and their leaves are valuable additions to the soil and compost pile. Don't forget about other perennial fruits, things like grapes, blackberries, raspberries, goji berries. Number 6, learn how to propagate plants. Adding perennials to your garden can be a substantial investment, but there is another way. Learn how to propagate plants, and you can add from your existing plants or other people's plants to add to your perennial garden. Number 7 is one of my favorite. Compost. Learn how to compost. This skill is so important if you have a garden, and it will really take your garden to the next level and help you have wonderful, healthy soil, which is where all of this abundance in your garden is going to come from. There are so many benefits to adding compost to your soil. Learning how to compost should be high on your list of skills to develop. I compost the waste from my garden using traditional composting methods, and I compost my kitchen scraps using in-bed vermicomposting. I have videos here on YouTube and on my blog about both processes. I'll link to them here and in the description. Number 8, create your own fertilizer. This may seem complicated, but it can be as simple as adding chickens to your garden. Chickens or other livestock produce waste high in nitrogen that can be added to compost and then fed to your plants. Grow comfrey or other plants similar to comfrey. Comfrey leaves are high in nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, and many other trace elements. Comfrey leaves decompose into a liquid quickly and make a great liquid fertilizer. There are also many cover crops that can be a beneficial form of fertilizer for your garden. Crops like hairy vetch and crimson clover can add nitrogen. Cover crops can be used as a green manure and help make other fertilizers more efficient. Number 9, learn how to collect and use harvested rainwater in your garden. Collecting and saving rainwater to use in the garden makes such good sense. Learn how it's done and start saving money on your water bill. Rainwater is also better for your garden. The water that comes out of your tap is often treated with chemicals, salts, minerals, and chlorine in order for it to be safe to drink. Rainwater has a lower concentration of dissolved minerals like magnesium and calcium. Before harvesting rainwater, do a quick Google search and make sure that it's legal to collect rainwater in your area. Number 10, maximize your garden space. No matter how small or large our gardens, it seems there's never enough room to grow all the things that we'd like to grow. Using the area you have efficiently will help you become more self-sufficient in the garden. A few of my favorite methods for maximizing space include vertical gardening. Vertical gardening not only adds extra space to your garden, but it helps plants be healthier as well. There are so many different ways you can add vertical space to your garden. Find a method that works for you and add vertical space to maximize your garden space. Whatever weather challenges you face, there are often ways that you can maximize your growing season by using season extenders like shade cloth, hoop houses, crop covers, and finally, use succession planting in your garden. When crops are finished, have another crop ready to go in its place, so you're always planting something in your garden. Plan ahead, make a plan for succession planting in your garden so that there's never empty areas in your garden and something is always growing. If this list feels overwhelming, just pick 1 or 2 things to work on. Develop that skill and then move on to the next one. And as you do so, you and your garden will become more self-sufficient. Thank you so much for watching.